Suitcase that was like in the food. I don't know how it works.
Teal.
Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to the Bhagavad Gita class at Bhaktivedanta Manor. We'll begin with the bhajan, Jai Radha Madhav. You can repeat after me. Srila Prabhupada says, in this bhajan there is entire Vrindavan Dham present in the bhajan itself. So let's take this opportunity to immerse ourselves in Vrindavan Dham. Closer? Yeah? No, okay, thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Shri Radhe Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. श्री श्री राधा गोकुलानंद भगवान की, श्री श्री सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान जी की, श्री श्री गौर निताय की, जगत गुरु Srila Prabhupada की jai. Welcome once again to everyone. Today we are going to be discussing from the Karma Yoga chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is chapter 3, and the verse will be 32. And yeah, great. So the verse here, I can read it the first time and then we can have amongst you someone recite it after me. Yetva etad abhyasuyanto nanu tishtanti me matam sarvagyana vimudham stan vidhi nashtana chetasaha. Anyone wants to read that? Sorry, what? Oh, okay, sure. Yetva etadabhyasuyanto nanu tishtanti me matam sarvagyana vimhudham stan vidhi nashtan achetasaha. Synonyms. Ye, those, two, however, etat, this, abhyasuyanta, out of envy, na, do not, anutishtanti, regularly perform, me, my, matam, injunction, sarvagyana, in all sorts of knowledge, vimudhan, perfectly befooled, tan, they are, vidhi, know it well, nashtan, all ruined, achetasaha, without Krishna consciousness. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. But those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled, and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. Purport. The flaw of not being Krishna conscious is clearly stated herein. As there is punishment for disobedience to the order of the Supreme Executive Head, so there is certainly punishment for disobedience to the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A disobedient person, however great he may be, is ignorant of his own self and of the Supreme Brahman, Paramatma, and the Personality of Godhead due to a vacant heart. Therefore, there is no hope of perfection of life for him. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Before we start to discuss this verse, we would seek the blessings of our spiritual master. So we'll invoke the presence and blessings of our spiritual masters who have really guided us onto this path of devotion to the divinity. So you can just close your eyes and meditate as I chant these mantras. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. When we look at this verse, and we just read the translation and purport, and I'll read it out again, the translation. So when we juxtapose it with the positive counterpart verse of this verse, it'll be interesting to note what Krishna really wants to say. It says, but those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of knowledge, befooled, and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. Krishna is speaking the Bhagavad Gita. Gita means song, and we are meant to listen to this song. And if you observe your tendency when you're stressed, what do? You turn to things. Everyone has a different propensity, and they turn to things that they feel can de-stress them. And song and music is often the one that tops the list. And so what is Arjun doing? He turns to this song, sung by the Supreme Lord himself, which carries the manual of how to really live our lives. Oftentimes, we are so accustomed to just live our lives without the awareness of ourselves and even the things around us, even the relationships around us. And we undermine the value of awareness, basics. Srila Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness is so simple that you might just miss it. You know, I wouldn't take the names, but then there are e-commerce brands, and they have categorically arranged basics, essentials. They shout it out so that you don't miss out on the basics and essentials. And here we are, leading our lives, living our lives without the basics covered. How interesting can that be? If you note your own behavior when you buy a gadget or any phone, do you care to really read the manual before unpacking the box? No. We hardly do that. And such is the case with living a life that is not informed by Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Such is the life which we think we are living in a perfect way. Interestingly, Prabhupada says in this verse, and in the purport of this verse, that we are actually befooled. We do not really know what's the purpose of our life. And hence, we think it's all perfect, but we are only deluding ourselves. So what is perfection? As I said, it'll be interesting to see a counterpart verse that we can juxtapose with this verse. If we just go to the previous verse, this verse 3.32, do we have someone controlling that screen over there? Lovely. It's 3.1. Oh, thank you, Prabhu. All right. My apologies. It's okay. I will read it out from here. I assume it will be faster. Perfect. No worries, it's all right. It's okay. I just need to read the translation anyway. Thank you. No worries. We can go back to the same verse we were discussing. The previous verse says, those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive actions. The verse we were discussing today says, if we are not following the injunctions, we are befooled, we are bereft of any knowledge or perfection. All our endeavors to seek the perfection really go waste if we are not really following these injunctions which Krishna has spoken. Imagine how lightly can we take these injunctions. Yeah? And in the previous verse, what does Krishna say? He says that those who follow the injunctions faithfully, and that's an important word. Faith is really the seed here. Without faith, how can we imagine ourselves progressing? And where does the faith come from? Does anyone know where does the faith come from?
From the situations.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
If everything is going well, then you have good faith.
Yeah. Yeah, so that kind of answers when does the faith get shaken? But then where does it come from? From within, yes, we have Paramatma seated in our heart. So Krishna hasn't really left us alone all by ourselves. He's there in the deity form. He's also there in our hearts. But it also comes from the people who have it. When we associate with those who have immense faith in Krishna, you'll feel that it's very, very easy and light to feel that faith yourself. So association with the devotees is really the key here. How much on our own can we really practice bhakti? Bhakti is really about the dependence. When we have a child, as the child grows, there's one key change apart from many other changes that take place. And that change is dependence. I am a mother myself, so the kind of blissful motherly love that you experience when your child is really in the infant form and so super dependent on you, that's very different from how when they grow up and start to grow independent. So bhakti is really rooted on rather the dependence. There's one very interesting thing I was listening to the other day, and it said that when Draupadi was being dishonored by the Pandavas, Krishna, he was very uneasy. At that time he was in Dwarka, he was with the queen Satyabhama. And Krishna, they were, I think, playing a game. And after about a few seconds, Krishna would run to the door and come back and resume the game, playing the game with Satyabhama. Again, he would go, come back, and then this really perplexed Satyabhama. She said, "My dear Lord, what is it that's making you so uneasy?" He said, "I'm looking at Draupadi. She is going through so much." Then Satyabhama says, "Why don't you do anything about it? You are the Lord." Krishna says, "I am so looking forward to that. But the only problem is, she's calling out to everyone except me." So she was still calling out to the family members, to everyone, but not Krishna. Satyabhama, out of mercy, because devotees are merciful, she implanted that seed of remembrance of Krishna in Draupadi's mind. And then Draupadi called out to Krishna, "Hey Govind." And then we know how Krishna, who was already so eager to save the honor of Draupadi, just jumped onto the opportunity of giving the blessings, glorifying his own devotee. Krishna is not only eager to protect the honor of Draupadi, but also to glorify his devotee. To also serve the devotee. Krishna is so eager to serve his devotee. So, anyway, coming back to the point of faith. And where does it come from? It's coming from, again, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, associating with the devotees and depending on devotees. So, another cross-connection in the Bhagavad Gita with this verse is in the 7th chapter, 15th verse, where I'd again read the translation. It says, "Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me." So who is really unable to surrender? Those who are atheistic, those who are demoniac in nature. They are the people who find it difficult to surrender to Krishna. And surrender is not easy, but it is very easy. What do I mean by that? Once Srila Prabhupada was asked, "Prabhupada, how long does it take to surrender to Krishna?" And Prabhupada said, 1 minute. 1 minute, that is all. But we have to realize that the platforms we are operating from, we have to try to do that every moment. We can begin that when we wake up in the morning, that Krishna, I really pray that all my endeavors today be offered to you, that I don't forget you and always remember you. And what really makes that possible is taking shelter in the holy name and chanting the names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And when we do that, that's when we'll be able to remember Krishna in every situation, which is the key. So, we were talking about how it's not really easy. So, it's really rare to know Krishna. Another thing that this verse talks about is those who are not following these teachings, they fail in their endeavors for perfection. So where is the perfection, one may ask? The perfection really begins where all your endeavors to know everything really end. That is how it is. Yeah? So it's not that easy. Krishna is not really won by the scholars. Krishna is won by the devotion in heart. What does he say? Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayashyati. That whatever my devotee offers me with love, whether that's a leaf, a fruit, whether that's water, I accept it. So what's the important ingredient here? Love. That's the important ingredient. So we saw that after in 7.19, which I just read out, after many births and deaths, he is actually in knowledge who surrenders unto me. It takes so many cycles of birth and death to actually come to that platform where you come to know Krishna. All knowledge and philosophical research in understanding Krishna, that's where it all culminates. So all your endeavors to gather all the knowledge and answers, they have their own value as well. But then where do they culminate? In understanding Krishna. This is what the verse 32 from the 32 chapter says from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto. So we just saw the importance and value and how rare it is to know Krishna. Yeah? That it takes so many cycles of birth and death. What's the risk of not knowing Krishna? What's the risk? Once there was a reporter who asked Srila Prabhupada that you're doing so much, you're spreading the holy name and and the scriptures at this age. What if in the end you find out there was actually no God? After all the endeavor, and imagine Prabhupada at the age of 70, that's when he's traveling for everyone else's benefit. And then he gets asked this question, what if in the end you find out there is no Krishna, there is no God. Prabhupada says, that's all right, no problem. Because Shri Radha Gokulananda Bhagwan ki Jai. Because if you really unpack that, that's actually all right. We're still having so much fun. It's just that we don't party without Krishna. Krishna doesn't say don't party. Can you imagine Krishna being so serious? He's saying, no, no party. Krishna says, party with me. Don't forget me. Yeah? So that's the point. If you look at the entire Vaishnav calendar, we hardly have any days left. We are so tired of partying, feasting all the time. It's that blissful. So, where was the loss? Not really anywhere. And then Prabhupada asks the reporter, what if you in the end find out there was actually the God? Now that's the risk. So this is the risk of not knowing Krishna. What else is the risk? And how risk is also in not taking the risk. When we look at the example of Prahlad Maharaj, at the age of 5, he took such a big risk to not follow the injunctions of his father, but follow the injunctions of Krishna. So that's the risk he took. Now, we always have that choice. Which risk is more measured? Which risk is Krishna himself recommending that it's worth taking? Yeah? So we look at that example. Now, another important element in this verse is envy. What's the cause that becomes a blocker for people to not believe in Krishna? What is really that obstacle that gets in the way of getting close to Krishna, following the injunctions of Krishna? And that blocker is the envy. Envy of God himself, envy of others around us, all of that. Srila Bhakti Charuswami Maharaj was once giving this very beautiful example. He said, you know, when you're leaving your body as a Vaishnav, and we talk about going to the abode of Krishna, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, whatever your desire is, you attain that in your next life. And those who desire me, come to me. So Vaishnavas, naturally, they are destined to go to the abode of Krishna, Golok Vrindavan. And Maharaj said that, you know how big is the entrance gate for Golok Vrindavan? It's just that keyhole. A keyhole, how small it is. It's that small or big. And to be able to get through that, who holds the key to that is the Vaishnav against whom you have the feelings of envy. You have the feelings of animosity. So that's the gravity of the aparadha of envy, especially when we have the envy towards the devotees of Krishna. So imagine somebody else is holding the key to your gateway to Krishna. And these are the devotees. Krishna is very forgiving. Of course, Krishna is teaching all of that to us. How can we imagine that he himself is not forgiving? Of course, he is. But one thing that he finds it difficult to do is forgiving the offenses we cause to his devotees. And if we look at the example of the envy from the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj, we see that we have Hiranyakashipu, who is so envious of the Lord. It literally is just the envy just the pride. That how can someone be more superior to me? Another example is when we see that Daksha, who was very envious of Lord Shiva, seemingly both Hiranyakashipu and Daksha himself were great scholars. We also know Ravan was a great scholar. And they knew verses by heart. And they were very powerful, all of them. Yet, the common problem was envy with the Lord. So, we also carry that glimpse. We are also in touch with the Bhagavad Gita. And we recognize that it's an important sacred text, that it's a prestigious text. Scholars also do that. They do say it's a very important text, prestigious text. But the problem arises when we say we agree to some parts of it and we don't agree with the other parts of it. So, do you see that similarity? These demons, they also knew all these scriptures by heart. That means they also valued the importance of the Bhagavad Gita or all these scriptures, yeah? But the problem was following the injunctions, realizing those verses in their hearts. Yeah? And this is how when we say, well, some of it I agree, other part I don't think that's practical, or we do the fault finding. Another element of envy is not just towards the Lord, but also towards the devotees of the Lord. We think, we are constantly also told that Guru is not an ordinary person. Because we think we have chosen the Guru. We fail to recognize Guru is Krishna's representative himself. And anything that comes from his mouth is as sacred as the Lord himself, the words of Lord himself. This is why when you follow the Guru's instructions and go beyond all your limits to follow the injunctions of your Guru, it's magical. And have we seen that magic unfold? Yes. Srila Prabhupada, he traveled all the way to the West at this age when we really think of retiring just to fulfill the orders of his spiritual master. And that really tells us that this is what it means to follow the injunctions of the Guru. In the 11th canto of the 17th chapter, verse 27, it says, Acharya mam vijnanyan nava manyeta karhichit namartya buddhya suyeta sarvadeva mayo guru. Krishna says in this verse, consider the Acharya as myself. That you have to consider your spiritual master as non-different from me, as myself. Never disrespect him. Never become envious of him. And when we don't do that, since we are constantly looking at both the sides, the risk of not following the injunctions, then we looked at another situation where what's perfection and what is not perfection. And now we looked at the magic that can unfold when you really take every word of your Guru to your heart and look to fulfill the desires of your spiritual master. But what also happens when you ignore that? Again, scriptures are ripe with the examples. When Vidura's advice is neglected, we know what doom was waiting for Dhritarashtra. When Vibhishan's advice was neglected by Ravan, His Grace Karthik Chandra Prabhu was telling this very interesting thing that really stayed with me. He said, it was not until that Vibhishan left Lanka that Ram attacked Lanka. So, the fate of the entire Lanka was resting on one devotee. When he left, after all his attempts to pacify, to kind of give all the good advice to Ravan, that's when Ram attacked. So you can imagine the power one devotee holds, the shelter a devotee can give. Now let's look at the third element in this verse. It's actually in the purport to this verse where Prabhupada says, so which kind of heart is really fertile that can absorb the instructions, the injunctions of Krishna and Guru? Is the heart which is filled with devotion. And a vacant heart cannot really do that. What really makes our heart vacant? When we are devoid of bhakti, when we don't have the love. We are part and parcel of Krishna. And how can we imagine that a part and parcel, when it's away from the supreme whole, can ever be happy? It can only be joyful when it's in constant remembrance. And with remembrance, you're always in association of Krishna. Krishna is non-different from his name, fame, his pastimes. So when you're glorifying him through chanting his names, through his pastimes, all of that kirtan is giving you immediate association. Krishna dances on your tongue when you chant his names. Do you know what's the root of bhakti? What is it that can really, give rise to your bhakti, and what is it that can really diminish your bhakti as well? It's the tongue. Bhakti begins with the tongue. With this tongue, we have the opportunity to take Krishna's names. With this tongue, we have the opportunity to sing his glories of his devotees. With the same tongue, we do the opposite. To also dishonor who are so close to Krishna. To also dishonor the words of Krishna when we are not following these injunctions. And this is what this verse says, that those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. So what's the verse that tells us that tongue is the enabler? It's called Sevun Mukhehi Jivhado. It's the jivha. It's the tongue that really gives rise to the bhakti and also can often become the one that is responsible for blocking our path of perfection. So, with that, what's the takeaway for us? The takeaway is to not keep our heart vacant. This heart, as Hanumanji has shown through his own example, quite literally, who is supposed to be in your heart? Sri Ram, Krishna, their names, their glories, and Krishna is possessive. When you take one step towards Krishna, he takes millions of steps towards you. Yeah? And so when he takes millions of steps towards you, that means once he starts to make his way into your heart, then he's not going to leave room for other things in that heart. And this is why we have to constantly fill our heart with the glories of Krishna. When we chant and we hear the sound of Krishna's name, it goes to your heart and starts to cleanse. Krishna does not do anything in Vrindavan. All his bedrooms, his sheets, everything is changed by Mother Yashoda. He doesn't do anything. Forget about it that Krishna does any of the chores. Have you heard of anything like that? Krishna is, except for, of course, serving the cows. But you won't really hear that Krishna is doing the chores as such. But the mercy of the holy name, Krishna, in the form of his name, the moment it enters your ear and through your ear into your heart, Krishna immediately picks up the broom and starts to clean the heart of all the impurities. But we have to make the endeavor to chant his names, to read the Shastras, to read the injunctions, and wait for Krishna to, take it all up, all your heart, no space. Then he is very possessive. I think we'll stop here with that. Yes.
I wholeheartedly agree with what you said. Why is it that sometimes our bhakti ebbs and waxes and wanes? So sometimes our bhakti we have very strong bhakti feelings, sometimes, but at other times we feel, no, I don't want to, or I don't feel like it,
Yeah.
or all these other negativities, what's the reason?
Thank you for that lovely question, Prabhu. Well, two things come to my mind. One thing was His Holiness Kadam Kanan Maharaj, he used to give this example. If you know of these pilgrimage destinations like Badrinath, Kedarnath, and it's of course, it's tremendously beautiful, perfect, blissful, holy abode. But imagine the route you have to take to go there. Is it a smooth one? No. It's always going the way you described. And, yeah.
So the message then is that basically even if you have not got that same sort of devotion within you, you still carry on.
That's it. It's the endeavor that pleases Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, even Arjun poses this question, that it's easier to control the wind than the mind. And Arjun is really asking that question for us. So what does Krishna say to that? Krishna says, if that happens, you bring it back. Krishna could have said when that happens, Krishna says when that happens, bring it back. Krishna could have said if that happens, but he didn't say if. The reason is, he knows it will happen. And even if we look at the trajectory of the lives of Pandavas themselves, it was never really smooth. But the point was, of course, to kind of always remember through those. And if we have that desire that Krishna, I'm not able to remember you in a steady way, but please help me, then that desire is what will also please Krishna. And Krishna also, sometimes we really think that love is really in just the association. But for Krishna and for bhakti, it's also in the separation. If you're taking the darshan here, it's very easy to remember Krishna, isn't it? Don't we feel that when we are in the temple premises, it's very easy to absorb and feel the mode of goodness, the satogun. But when we go back to our lives, that's when the real battle begins. But that's also Krishna's scheme of things. Because now when you think about Krishna, now you'll make more endeavor to remember Krishna. Here it was very easy. Krishna is right in front of you. During those situations, when you make the endeavor, that's what really counts. Of course, this has its own place and importance. If this doesn't happen, taking darshan and serving of the deities, then the foundation is this is what really enables everything else. But that also has its value. Does that help, Prabhu? Hare Krishna. Any more questions?
Same question I had back in the days, and then same question asked for you. So the answer I was getting was same as you, and then going back to your point, the association. So our mind is always playing with this. We try to go away with this, let's say, Nam chant or Krishna chant, etc., because that is where we live. And the one good thing that told me that association, that's the first thing. And how we can control the mind. So you can do the what Krishna Lila, Kirtans, etc., and trying to bring it up. But it's not easy. As I agree with her, it's not easy when we come out and just say. I think the other here is play a big role. Let's say if I live in this premises, this temple, 24/7, automatically my mind will go with Krishna.
And that's also true, but also not true sometimes. Someone standing right in front of Krishna may not also be thinking of Krishna. Someone miles away from the deity form will be in remembrance of Krishna. So really is about the mind, as you said. It's like a flashlight. If you cast it on everything, your mind will not be able to focus on just one thing. But you take the flashlight on just one object, you see that object much more clearly. And that's the thing with the mind. And it also is a sponge. What it reacts to immediately is the association. Good news is, yes, it is all difficult, but at the same time, it also acts like a browser history. When you come in contact with Krishna and the divinity, you suddenly feel that that history of that browser is getting deleted. You know? So Krishna helps you. When he sees that my devotee is trying to make an endeavor, Krishna is very eager to then help that devotee come closer to him. Queen Kunti in Bhagavatam, what does she pray for? When Krishna, at the end of Mahabharata, all of that, he's leaving for Dwarka, Queen Kunti is asking Krishna, she's praying to Krishna, that Krishna, I really pray for the reversals in my life. As a mother whose son has been poisoned, and as a mother to kind of go through that experience where your entire family, could have been burned, and yet you're asking for those experiences again, because she says, because those were the moments when I felt you were closest to me. So that's a very important message as well, isn't it? Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah, so all the Bhagavad Gita lectures are at 6 p.m. in the evening, every day. Yeah, and Bhagavatam is at 7:30 in the morning. Yeah. Okay, any more questions? All right. So we'll now have in about 5 minutes Gaura Arti, so we can all participate in that ecstatic kirtan. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Okay, everybody.
वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुता पदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च भज श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद भज श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवा